What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are in the Armada, so you know that makes this an Armada vlog. And I want to have a conversation with you about some things that cross my mind. Now, those of us who are parents, especially parents of adult children, and when I say adult children, I mean children that are, let's just say over the age of 25, or I'm going to classify adult children who have decided that they want to either get married at an early age or have children at an early age. Those are the adult parents I want to talk to. I mean, parents of adult children that I want to talk to. Now, I know quite a few, several friends, peers, or whatever around my age. So I'm 52, so I know people with adult children who are the same age as me, let's say 5 or so years older or younger than me. Now, our adult children have chosen to go out in this world and do adult things. Have children, get married, make all sorts of adult decisions that they're not particularly ready for, or they're ready for. Now, my issue, so to speak, is when these adult children feel as if, as their parent, you don't have any information or advice that you can give them in their journey in adulthood. And it's mind-blowing because, you know, parenting in adulthood is largely unscripted, especially if you come from a background where you did not experience a stable household. Like, for instance, me. I grew up largely with a single mother, and I, for the most part, did not have any positive or stable male influences in my life. I grew up around domestic violence. I grew up around what I would call piss poor parenting, or whatever the case may be. However, parenting is a learning experience, and you generally learn parenting from your parents, from your peers, friends, family, or whatever the case may be, or even, you know, when you start experiencing it. I will be the first to say I was not the best of fathers in my, you know, in my parenting years. However, I did grow and become a better parent than I was initially. And in my opinion, that's what parenting is. You learn as you go, and you do better as you get more experience under your belt, or more years under your belt, or as you have more children. Now, some of these damn kids these days just have no ability to learn from the advice that you try to give them, or from their own silly ass mistakes that they keep doing over and over and over again. Yet one of the things that they tend to do is blame their parents for their decisions. Now, this is something that I've experienced for the last, let's just say, I'm going to say 20 years. I'm going to say that. My oldest child is 32. Now, one of the first things that me and his mother told him was, do not have any children before you graduate high school. We told him that. Now, we had him, I was 20, she was 18. I was active duty Army, she was my Army spouse. So, we can speak that from experience because we did not have any children while we were in high school. The other thing is you tell them not to have children before they get themselves situated. Now, that is definitely something that her and I can speak to him from experience on. Another thing that I told him, and this was when he graduated high school, I told him that you don't have to be with the mother of your child. However, and this is not verbatim, but I pretty much told him that that relationship with your child's mother should be a priority. Now, let me tell you, this child didn't listen to nothing I said to him. And I'm pretty sure his mother said the same thing to him. Instead, he does the total opposite. So, that was when he was 18. Here he is, several years later at the age of 32, and still repeating nonsense behavior. Now, as a parent, it is overly frustrating to have a child who is not open to taking advice from experienced parents who care and attempt to guide them in the right direction. And, you know, as I told him, and I'm speaking from experience, when I told him that that relationship with the child's mother, whether you're together or not, should be the most important relationship. Me and his mother have been divorced since 1995. And we have one of the best relationships in the world. We are like best friends. You know, when we get on the phone, whenever we get on the phone, we can talk for hours, and we don't get on the phone every day. We don't get on the phone every week. It could be 1 or 2 months go in between, and you know, when we get on the phone, it's like looking at the phone like, damn, we've been on the phone that long. So that, to me, that is important. And mind you, our child is 32 years old, grown. However, we still have a child together, and that is the most important thing to us, which is why we keep a very tight relationship. It's not sexual. Yeah, we laugh and joke about whatever, but you know, we understand our positions in life. I say all that to say, it is New Year's, 2 o'clock in the morning. My phone rings. I'm in the bed sleep. I pick up my phone, look. Before I can answer it stop ringing, she calls me right back. And of course, she gives me a little hard time. You know, when I call you twice, you know it's something. And it was like, I tried to answer the first time, however, you know, I missed it, whatever. And usually when she calls me, I answer in 1 or 2 ways. What's up? Or what the hell did he do now? Followed by a giggle, because we both giggle. Because at certain times of the day when she calls me, that boy did something. Now, I'm not going to go into what he did. But I'm going to tell you, it defies logic as a 32-year-old adult. It defies logic, all logic. Especially with him being a veteran. Just like me, a veteran. However, you know, I some of the things that these kids do these days is just mind blowing. Like, yeah. But the thing about it is, you know, they don't want to listen to what you have to say to them because they think you don't know what you're talking about. However, the funny thing about that is, whatever advice you try to give them on what not to do or what they should do to prevent certain things, they will go against the grain, and then that wall will smack them right in the damn face like a ton of bricks. And then they running back to you asking for help or saying, I should have listened. So, I don't know. Tell me out there, what is it about these kids these days that make them more defiant than we were growing up? And double and triple more defiant than the generations that came before us. Because you would think if, as parents, we try to do better than what our parents did, you would think our children would try to do better than what we did. Now, it's easy to blame this on unstable households and this, that, and the other, but at some point in life, when does common sense kick in? Does it ever kick in? Like, I have two sons that you know, that I focus my main attention on. Now, my youngest one just turned 21 a couple days ago, and he is, in his senior year of college? Senior year, I would say. Yeah, something like that. Whatever, I'm getting old. And math is not my good thing. But anyway, pretty much doing everything that is within the boundaries of his growth. You know, the one thing that I was able to do with him that I was not able to do with my oldest child, I told him the same thing. Don't go out here having no kids, because once you have children, that's where your priority is. Now, so far, he has not ventured down that path of having children. But the one thing I was able to do with him that I wasn't able to do with my oldest was take him out and show him how expensive the world is. And the way I did that was take his little brother, him and his little brother, which I'm not the father to his little brother, but, you know, we would go out shopping or whatever the case may be, and I would buy stuff for his little brother because that's my little guy. Now, and I would buy them stuff, and I would show my son how much stuff cost. Now, when you are 17, 18, 19, and you don't have a job, and you think you know, things are expensive. So I would show that child, I would give him my debit card or credit card, let him pay for stuff, and I say, you see how much that costs? Now just imagine if you were a parent buying that stuff. And his eyes would open up wide, and I was like, don't have no kids. Another thing I would do is when he was of driving age, well, when we became a driving age, and we would go take my car for maintenance, I would let him sit in the driver's seat. Like when we go to those drive-in oil change places or whatever, let him sit in that driver's seat. They do the maintenance. I give him my card, let him pay for it. So you see how much that costs? Now just imagine if you had kids. Well, so that's the things I would do with my youngest, and I'm hoping that the talks that I've had with him and that his mother had with him have brought a sense of understanding to what we have been telling him. Because I've also told him, make sure that you do all that you need and you want to do before you decide to have children. Because once you start having children, that it's a whole different ball game. Trust and believe. But anyway, my whole point to this is, I don't understand why it is so difficult for these younger adults these days to take advice for what it is and not feel like we're stopping them from living their lives. I want you to live your life to the fullest. Trust and believe. I want you to accomplish more than I accomplished in my life at your age. However, if you choose to do your own thing and you give your parents your ass to kiss because you think you know it all, look here. Don't come back later talking about you should have listened. Because blaming your parents for decisions that you made is not the answer. It is not the answer because you knew better. Or I don't know why you thought you exempt from the consequences of your choices. You are not exempt from the consequences of your choices. Trust me when I tell you. But anyway, that's all for now. This was a Nissan vlog, Armada vlog, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.